Picture this. It's 1705 in coastal Scotland. The harbour of Pittenweem is filled with shouting townspeople. In the center of the crowd stands a woman. She's terrified and bound not by law but by fear. Her name was Janet Cornfoot, and her murder marks one of the last witch killings in Scotland. This was a time when belief and brutality still overpowered reason. In this video, Alex and I will be telling her story, examining how witch hunts, even as they faded, continued to shape communities through gendered power, public hysteria, and storytelling. Today, we're going to analyze Janet's case through Sylvia Federici, Carol Carlson, and Brian Levesque, while drawing from Marianne Gibson's How Witch Trials Went Public and Matthew Hopkins' The Discovery of Witches, to explore how these ideas spread beyond courtrooms into popular imagination. Janet's story shows how the witch hunts transformed from a legal event into a cultural performance.
The Pittenweem witch trials involved not just Janet Cornfoot, but also 4 other accused women and several other accomplices. Accusations began when 16-year-old Patrick Morton had an altercation with a woman already suspected of witchcraft at his family's business. After the encounter, Morton reported falling ill and turned the blame back on the original woman after being inspired by pamphlets detailing similar occurrences. With heavy influence from the local minister, several more women were accused, including Cornfoot. This manipulation of vulnerable individuals by prominent townspeople is a common theme in witch trials, often used to eliminate women seen as unsavory by the community leaders: widows, poor women, healers, etc. Cornfoot fit this description as a single and highly independent woman. In prison, the accused women were subjected to brutal torture and sleep deprivation, and 4 women, including Cornfoot, confessed to the crimes under the unbearable conditions. Cornfoot, however, was able to escape and return to her village. Unfortunately, though, she was sold out by the first person who saw her and was brutally beaten by townspeople and eventually crushed to death with stones on a wooden door. One of the most interesting parts about this case is the fact that the general public ended up condemning this murder, and the perpetrators of such barbaric actions were not held in public favor. However, none of them were ever tried for their lies, as did happen in other instances.
British History also made the following video. Sylvia Federici in Caliban and the Witch says that witch hunts were a way to control women during a time of big economic and social change. As Europe shifted toward capitalism, women who lived outside male authority, like widows or midwives, became targets. Society wanted women who obeyed. They didn't want women who lived freely. Carol Carlson in The Devil in the Shape of a Woman adds that the women accused were often poor but visible, people others noticed, respected, or even feared. Janet Cornfoot fit both ideas. She lived on her own, she spoke her mind, and didn't follow the quiet, obedient image of a quote-unquote proper woman. Her death wasn't about witchcraft at all, it was about power. The community punished her for being independent, not for casting spells.
By 1705, Scotland had technically left behind its witch trials, but Brian Levesque notes that belief in witchcraft outlived the law. When the court stopped prosecuting witches, the crowds took over, turning rumor into violence. Levesque connects these late-period killings to times of political instability. Scotland's post-Union years brought poverty, religious division, and anxiety over identity. In this sense, Cornfoot's murder wasn't just a local tragedy. It was a national symptom of a society caught between Enlightenment reason and medieval fear. The people of Pittenweem weren't following policy, they were performing panic.
By Janet's time, witch hunts were no longer quiet legal events. They had become public performances. Gibson, How Witch Trials Went Public, examines how gossip, sermons, and pamphlets turned witch hunts into something like theater. Hopkins, The Discovery of Witches, shows the same pattern. It spread fear through storytelling, and it made witch trials a kind of moral entertainment. By 1705, the people of Pittenweem were not just reacting to fear, they were acting out a story they already knew. They thought they were maybe defending their town, but really they were repeating a story in scripts written years before. Janet's death became part of that performance. It was a moment where fear, your self-righteousness, became very core.
Today, historians view Janet Cornfoot's death not as an isolated act of cruelty, but as the last flare of an old fear, the fear of women's voices and social change. The Survey of Scottish Witchcraft lists her among hundreds of accused, but her story is distinctive. She was never tried, never sentenced, but still faced the same horrific fate as so many others. Through numerous historians, we see how witch hunts merged gender control, public storytelling, and social anxiety into one enduring myth and tactic for eliminating women that don't fit the mold.